Have you ever wondered what would happen if one day all 7 billion of us on this planet suddenly disappeared? It's not an apocalyptic catastrophe, no war or disease, just that we wouldn't be here anymore. A world without humans. Join me on a journey through time to see how our planet would change without its self-proclaimed masters. Just an hour after we disappear, the world will begin to change. The lights in the cities will still be on, but they won't stay on forever. Most of the world's power plants, especially coal-fired and gas-fired ones, require constant human intervention. Without fuel, without maintenance, they will gradually shut down. Within hours, 2 days, a thick, primitive darkness will engulf the major cities. Only hydroelectric and nuclear power plants will be able to hold out longer. Water turbines might continue to spin for months, but nuclear power plants will automatically switch to safety mode when unsupervised. There will be no nuclear explosion. They will simply shut down. After a week, the world begins to descend into chaos. Hundreds of millions of domestic animals and farm livestock will face a harsh reality. Without food and water, they will begin to starve and die of thirst. Those lucky enough to escape will have to learn to survive in a completely new world. Domestic dogs will have to compete with wolves. Domestic cats will become prey or tiny predators. A brutal struggle for survival will ensue, and only the best adapted species will survive. At the same time, subway systems around the world, which require constantly running pumps to prevent flooding, will be submerged. The dark tunnels will become underground rivers. A month passes. The cooling water in nuclear power plants begins to run out. Safety systems will eventually fail, causing explosions and fires, releasing vast amounts of radiation into the environment. However, Earth has an incredible capacity for self-healing. Over several decades, the radiation will gradually be absorbed into the soil and water, becoming diluted. Areas like Chernobyl today are a testament to this, where nature has been and continues to revive strongly despite the disaster. A year after our disappearance, the night sky will be clearer than ever before. Free from light pollution, the Milky Way will shine brightly across the planet. Artificial satellites with no one to adjust their orbits will begin falling back into the atmosphere, creating spectacular meteor showers that last for years. Underground weeds will begin to take over. Sidewalks, asphalt, gardens. Wherever there's a crack, life will creep in. Moss and lichen will begin to cover concrete surfaces. 20 years later, nature truly begins its reclamation. Coastal cities like Amsterdam or Venice, protected by complex dike systems, will be submerged by the sea. Asphalt roads will begin to crack under the pressure of tree roots. Steel bridges will begin to rust severely. Skyscrapers will still stand, towering, but only as bare skeletons. Wildlife will begin to migrate into the cities. Deer will graze in parks. Bears may nest in abandoned shopping malls. Cities will become new urban jungles. After 100 years, most wooden houses had rotted and collapsed. Famous suspension bridges like the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco may have fallen into the sea due to corroded cables. Reinforced concrete buildings, though more robust, also began to show signs of collapse. Water seeped in, rusting the reinforcing steel, causing the concrete to swell and crack. The animal world had undergone a major transformation. Former domesticated animals, if they survived, had become completely wild. Domestic dogs may have evolved into formidable pack predators. 300 years have passed. Giant dams like the Three Gorges Dam in China or the Hoover Dam in the United States. Marvels of human engineering will eventually collapse under the pressure of water and the erosion of time. A collapse will cause catastrophic floods, reshaping the entire downstream landscape, creating new wetlands and ecosystems. Most of the skyscrapers are now just piles of rubble, covered in trees and vines. 500 years later, the great cities have been completely transformed into dense jungles. It's hard to recognize that they were once home to millions of people. What remains of our civilization are only fragments, the most solid stone and concrete structures. Large animals like elephants, tigers, and lions, which we had driven to the brink of extinction, have now recovered in numbers and roam freely across the continents. 1,000 years after humanity disappeared, only the greatest structures, made of stone, remain. The Giza Pyramids, the Great Wall of China, they still stand, silent witnesses to a civilization that once existed. but they too are being eroded by nature, buried by desert sands, covered by trees. The Earth has almost completely erased all traces of us. 10,000 years, the oceans have fully recovered. Coral reefs are regenerating, whales and marine life are thriving. The plastic waste we leave behind, although it takes hundreds, even thousands of years to decompose, will gradually be consumed by bacteria that have evolved to do so. On land, biodiversity is booming. Perhaps intelligent animals like dolphins, chimpanzees, or even octopuses, with their complex brains, will have the opportunity to flourish. 100,000 years. Now Earth is a wild, pristine planet. Will some species dominate Earth? Quite possibly, but dominance in the way of nature, not in the way of building a civilization like humans. Perhaps it's an insect species, with its overwhelming numbers and extraordinary adaptability. Or perhaps a branch of primates will embark on a new evolutionary path, one that could take millions of years. So, who will continue to write Earth's history? The answer is Earth itself. This planet doesn't need us to exist. It existed billions of years before we arrived, and will continue to exist billions of years after we are gone. Earth's history is not a story about humans, but a story about life, about change, adaptation, and constant rebirth. Looking back on this journey, we realize one thing. The disappearance of humanity is not a tragedy for Earth, but an opportunity for it to heal itself. The greatest legacy we leave behind is not skyscrapers or grand structures, but a lesson about the fragility of dominance and the resilience of nature. We are just a short chapter, a fleeting moment in the great chronicle of this planet. Thank you for joining me on this fantasy journey. It reminds us that while we are here, we have a responsibility to cherish and protect our shared home. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel to discover more interesting things. Goodbye and see you again.